minutes.
No motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Vitelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Okay, in consent agenda, we are going to pull item.
Yeah.
It's one.
141.
141.
142.
142. The resolution.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's item 142. We're going to pull that. So first, I'd like to make a motion on everything except the pulled item.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
I'm going to recuse myself of the performance bond reduction, and everything else is yes.
Mr. Vitelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. On the pulled item, I'm going to open up the discussion.
Well, no, you're gonna, so this is the HMS, you're
Yes.
gonna have Jenny and Ralph are gonna talk about Phobos and Zulu.
Please come to the mic. Yes, that's what I meant by discussion. Okay.
Thanks, Ralph.
Good evening. Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. With regard to the easement acquisition for the H&F property on the west side of 34, I am a trustee of Phobos Friends of Holmdel Open Space, which has been involved with the acquisition of a variety of other open space properties in Holmdel. However, since the agenda for this item appeared yesterday, we have not had a meeting. So I cannot formally speak for the trustees as a group, but will speak myself to the item. And having conferred with a couple of the other trustees, I think if we had time for a meeting, and that may still yet happen, I believe it would be unanimous support for this kind of thing. What this acquisition will help of the easement to protect this property on the west side of 34 as a permanently restricted, deed-restricted farmland. That will really help preserve southern Holmdel's rural character, because the property on the other side of 34 is being acquired by Monmouth County Parks. So we're not going to see southern 34 turned into 35. And that's a plus in many regards. It keeps the town looking like and being what it's been. We get 10 fewer houses, but I think in the long run, that's probably the right thing to do, so I definitely support this. One other item I would add to this is that, as some of you should may be aware, that in the master plan, there is a vision for a trails network for Holmdel. And that includes a trail on the back of this property, which is the Willow Brook. Across the street is what will become, on the east side of 34, is what will become part of the county parks, which will connect across Holmdel Road to the reminiscence section, former Chase track, connects to Holmdel Park. So all of that connects. And the vision had been that one could get across 34, which is of course a pedestrian safety issue for sure, and walk and then get to the Willow Brook and access the trail there and continue. The vision even went further in saying that would connect into Marlborough, you potentially get over to the Marlborough Hospital. Going to the southern end, you follow the Willow Brook south past the Inverness property, the former Henry West property that gets you to the Swimming River Reservoir, and then you get along the reservoir through Cross Farm, Chase, Thompson Park to Red Bank. It's the vision of becoming quite a network.
I can hear a song, Follow the Willowbrook Road. Follow the Willowbrook Road.
Yeah, all of that. So
It's an idea.
in the case of the HMF property, there is a historic cemetery on that property with
John Holmes.
homes and other historic Holmdel graves there. It's not at all clear who owns that cemetery or what's going to happen, but state law says if you're encircling a cemetery like that, you must provide public access to it. So that the map that's in the agenda does show an access to the cemetery from the highway. And potentially what would be appropriate, if one can work it out, was to extend that easement back to the back of the property toward the Willow Brook. But that becomes ticklish in terms of negotiating all of that, and I'm aware of that, but I just wanted to put that on the table as something that would enhance even further the preservation of this property as a deed-restricted farm.
Thank you.
Thank you for considering it and giving me the opportunity to comment on it.
Thank you, Ralph. You know, I will say this, I meet very often with the Monmouth County Preservation Group, and this might come as a shock, but the five of us up here don't always agree. But I will tell you that when I went to each of my fellow committeemen, and I said, look, here's a piece, this is what it's going to cost us, and it was the quickest yes, and unanimous yes that we've ever had. There's a real commitment up here to see the balance. We've had some development with Bell Works. I think it's been incredibly successful, and there's a call for balance now, and that balance it's important for us. If you really believe in the environment and you believe in what I think, Ralph, the vision that you're describing there, I think that's awesome. I think if you don't want to believe in that and you just want to believe the economics, that we need to be careful. I read in the paper today, Woodbridge in the last 10 years went from 13,000 kids to 18,000 kids in 10 years. So being conscious of the infrastructure and how that can affect a community like Holmdel, I think we have a responsibility. So I think these moves that we together as a group made, I'm very appreciative that there was unanimous support, and I think this is a huge win for Holmdel. So, Jenny, did you just want to say something as well?
Yes,
Please.
I love these guys. Johnny Blumenthal, this thing isn't on.
It's on.
It is.
It's on.
Don't steal it, Jenny.
It's on.
What I do. All right, anyway.
You can call Ralph to listen.
Johnny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I have been asked by the presidents of CELU, Citizens for Informed Land Use, that would be Karen Strickland and Regina Christione, who are both at work right now, to read this statement as a board member of CELU. Citizens for Informed Land Use is an organization that has supported efforts of land preservation in Holmdel for 21 years, since 1998. Our mission is to promote informed and thoughtful land use decisions, to preserve our quality of life, to protect our natural resources, and to promote government decision-making based on open communication with an informed electorate and nonpartisan public debate. The resolution on the consent agenda to purchase the development rights to preserve Block 15, Lot 2 on Route 34 South as an agricultural use is an appropriate use of taxpayer money for preserving the watershed and protecting other natural resources. We support this resolution as it is consistent with our CELU mission. As an aside, as an aspect of open communication, we would like to see issues like this placed not on the consent agenda, but as a part of the regular agenda, so that the community members have an opportunity to understand and discuss and participate in the decisions of the town. And someone has suggested that along with that when the agendas are only released each meeting about 24 hours in advance, which is not enough time for the public and CELU folks to review them. So if
Jenny,
you
this
could-
was supposed to be a moment of just compliments. You weren't supposed to do this.
Well, this was a suggestion.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I got
To get some of these consent agenda items out to the public so that we could have a chance to study them and potentially ask some questions.
Okay.
Also, this Sunday is Earth Day, so I hope you all come. There's all sorts of people coming from all sorts of places. And I also like to remind you that when you do something that stinks or it smells fishy, we could potentially give you some skunk cabbage leaves. But in this case, you did something really nice. So we'll give you some flowers.
Oh, isn't that nice? They fresh?
I didn't get one. I didn't get one.
That's okay.
They're hanging over the street, it makes them public trees. And if I didn't trim them, they'd hit the snowplows.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're very welcome, but thank you so much for doing this. It's a pleasure to come to a meeting and not complain.
Okay, so now I want to vote on that.
Mr. Goldstein.
Okay, Scotty.
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive. I also think this is a great acquisition. Property will help preserve and protect Willowbrook. As you're well aware of, that is two of the primary feeder streams into a water supply, supplying 600,000 people water in our county and the next county over. After what I heard at the last meeting with the budget and how we appeared that we used up all our reserves, I was only concerned of where do we get the $400,000 to pay for this?
It's already
It's
included
in
in
the
our
budget.
capital.
It already has been there?
Yeah.
It's in there this year. It was already part of the capital before we had all the changes.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to vote on this.
I'll move that. Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Introduction of ordinances.
Ordinance number 2019-05, Township of Holmdel, County of Monmouth. It's an ordinance amending 2019 salary ordinance.
Make a motion?
Second.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes. Hearings on ordinances?
None?
No. None. Departments. Admin?
No, Mayor.
Bill? You want to give him the big news, Bill? Hold on, let's get the mic on.
You're letting me-
All right.
Hold on. I mean, we got a little suspense here. Because I am not certain that everyone can possibly appreciate the task that was at hand. So I'm going to paint the scene and then I'm going to turn it over to Bill. So last week, Donna, myself, Bill, and our bond attorney met for the majority of the day, and we toured around with the two individuals from Moody's. And our expectation was the town, to the best of our knowledge, we went back at least 20 years, 25 years, we had no rating. So anytime we needed to get a bond, our school has a rating, but we had not been rated. So, you know, anytime we need to borrow money, we have to go through the county. And we did a little analysis to determine, now, is there an advantage? Well, the only advantage is if we come back with a strong rating. Our expectation, our hope, was we would come back AA. Now I'm going to turn it over to our CFO.
All right. Today we got the ratings from Moody, and they gave us a AAA rating.
Yeah.
The AAA rating, up to this point, there are only 19 towns in the state that have a AAA rating from Moody's, so we're number 20. The counties basically have it. The only other town in Monmouth County that has it is Rumson. Most of the other towns are up in Warren County and Morris County. And what that really does for us, that will save us some money on the interest. The interest rate, an estimate compared to this current bond sale, that could be close to $90,000 in savings of interest over the life. Also, when we go out for future issues, be it temporary bond anticipation notes or serial bonds in the future, the rate will be lower then too. So we have substantial savings, and it really is, it's special because I've never seen a town get a AAA on the first shot like that.
And I think it's a real tribute to our administrator, her staff, all the professionals that have worked through it. I thought we had great advice from our outside consultant. It was a really educational day, a lot of hard-hitting questions. They toured Bell Works, they toured our neighborhoods, they asked a lot about things like open space, the salaries of our employees, our staff, the benefits, the pension. It was very, very, very in-depth. And I'm just very proud of everybody involved. That is a big, big win for Holmdel, and I think everyone should have a little pound their chest a little bit who was involved in that process. So I thank all. Thank you. CFO, attorney? Michael?
No report, Mayor.
Engineer, not here. Boards, committees. Rock?
Oh, okay. Public safety. About 2,000 police calls last month, around 150 first aid calls last month, about 25 fire calls, 125 fire calls year to date. Township engineer, myself, representatives of the fire department, mayor's working, so otherwise he would be there. We're touring 2 sites for the firehouse, one a retrofit and one a new site. There might be more that I'm not aware of, and I'm sure the mayor will jump in at the end.
Maybe-
Oh, the architect, sorry.
We're gonna look at 3 sites in total.
And hopefully we'll have more information, we can get the fire moving. For the police department, of course, the chief gave me a list.
Not the fire moving, the
Not the
fire,
This is the police.
fire station.
Fire station's gonna move.
Move.
And we'll get that
A moving
centrally
fire
located
station.
firehouse. It's coming. Police department, they wanted me to say that their Safe and Sorry program had 40 high school girls who attended. It's a 3-day class where they learn about things that could happen in college and self-defense. 40 students went through it and completed the program. It's the 10th year our police have offered that program.
Rock, if I could just follow up on that, that is a incredible program. And you want to talk about young women, 15, 16, and 17, there was not a dry eye in the room when you hear the stories of what some of these women go through. They not only teach self-defense, which is important, more importantly, they really teach street smarts. And I highly, highly encourage every single Holmdel. There were some juniors in the room, so juniors, seniors, rising freshmen to attend this. To me, it's one of the best programs we do in Holmdel. Sorry.
No, great. Our domestic violence response team got 2 new members who went through their training. It's a program when the cops get called for domestic violence. Another person is there for the other party, so they can help them out on where they could go and what they can do. So 2 new members joined that program. They have a new program, Cops Care Bags. Homedogs receive free of charge backpacks filled with stuffed animals, activity books, etc. Officers use it to help children cope when they're involved in accidents and such. So it's a program our police have where they can help out the kids. Our police youth academy is up and running again this year. Letters went out this week to families whose children were chosen for the program. It's a great program. Tons of kids want it, and they learn a lot about law enforcement and about themselves. Lock boxes. This is for me and Scott. The program is for elderly or homebound residents. The police are going to install lock boxes on your home, which allow the police and first aid and emergency people to get into the house if something happens and the person is out. So it's a great program. So if you know someone who's can't get out of the house or might have a problem, the police can help. Give them a call. It's a free program. And that's all I got.
I think that's donated by
Well, quick question. Where are we with the fire truck?
My understanding is we have a new fire truck coming this year.
Well, it's in the.
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget, but the capital has to be passed, and that should be passed sometime
May.
May or June. And then once we get the capital ordinance, we'll be able to purchase the fire truck.
Okay, so because if we order it today, we won't get it till the end of 2020. I just want to try and, how can we expedite that purchase?
I think we're confusing 2 issues. The pumper truck is in the budget for order.
Right, the pumper truck is in the budget, not the ladder
Correct,
truck.
Donna?
Yeah, but we have to get the funding in place. We don't have the funding in place. Once the minute the funding's in place, we can go ahead and get them a purchase order. But right now, we don't have the funding in place because it's the capital budget we just introduced at our last meeting.
So are you talking about this pumper truck or another?
The ladder truck. Because we need the ladder.
So the chief who's sitting in the back provided us
Hi, Chief.
with the information that we wanted. The truck he wanted is in the capital budget for this year.
I
Don't know if it's a ladder or a pumper.
Okay, but I understand, I just think that the ladder truck should be ordered as soon as possible because the one that we have is not the best, but a new ladder truck as soon as possible would be beneficial for the town.
All right, so
Okay.
we have this one truck coming. So if we order a ladder truck, it takes how long?
You can't order it until you put it into the budget. So you can't even though it takes 2 years to build, you have to budget for that today in order to get it 2 years from now. So
So we'd have to pay for it today.
You have to budget for
We
it.
can't put a.
No, you don't have, I believe you don't have to pay for it until you get it.
No, we, unfortunately, with the way that our government works, in municipal spending in New Jersey, you have to have all the money allocated. You can't do, a down payment and pay. So we have to have all the money allocated. In this instance, in our capital budget, we have money allocated for that. We can certainly discuss with Chief Farrell if there's a different type of truck that he wants, but the quote that he provided me is in the capital budget for this year.
Okay, so in the capital budget this year is a pumper or a ladder?
Like I said, I don't know specifically what the terminology is. If you want Chief Farrell to talk about it, I mean,
At
it's...
the last meeting, I asked the same question we got, it was a pumper truck, right? But the ladder truck was a 18-month-ish window from when we order it to when it's gonna be delivered.
Right, but there's a significant difference between a pumper and a ladder. A pumper is an engine, it provides your first two engine. Ladder provides aerial coverage, but both are the same age, they're both almost 20 years old.
We are, with the budget, the truck that Chief Farrell has given us is the truck that the fire chief is requesting. That is what we are purchasing with our capital funds for 2019, what the fire chief has requested.
So Mike,
Okay.
I'm confused. What I understand, we went through the fire safety study, he said we needed the pumper truck right away, and that's what we ordered. Are you saying we need a ladder truck now too?
I believe you do need a ladder truck, yes.
Because of the time it
Because the
takes
ladder
to
truck we
get it.
have is this meal was bought used, it's almost 20 years old.
So what are you suggesting
I
then?
think we need another ladder.
So when's your else we get?
You have Bell Works up and coming, you have a hotel going on top, you have Bayshore Hospital, you have a lot of, you have a need for a ladder truck in this town.
So I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you're saying that you want to order a ladder truck now? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, yes, I think you need to order one now, I think you need to do that.
I just have a point of clarification. Mike just said we need a ladder truck now. Don't we have a ladder truck? But it's older.
Yes.
So we have a ladder truck and
As
it's
far as I'm
functional.
aware, we have a ladder truck.
And it's functional for the time
Yeah, I
being.
wouldn't say it's functional for, it's
Does it respond to fires?
Yeah.
sometimes.
So just to be clear, we have a ladder truck. It responds to fires. Mike's recommendation is that we add a new ladder truck sooner rather than
That's what I'm
later.
trying to
Correct.
get at, yeah. That's what you're looking for. to
Yes.
Do it now?
Sooner than later, because this, it says,
I think
it's
Rocco-
purchased used, it's old, we need to replace it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that we need. At the end of the day, I think we prioritized that we need a firehouse. That was the priority. I think we need a truck. Look, Rome's not built in a day. And I think as much as we can make a list of 10 different things. We have got, miles of roads that need to be paved. So we need to look at everything carefully and then prioritize them. Today, to budget another $1.5 million for a ladder truck, in addition to, we don't know what a firehouse is going to cost. So I think we have, we've made a conscious decision to build the firehouse, which is wonderful, and we'll identify what that cost and the location will be. And time moves quickly. We'll get a new pumper truck, and as we've discussed with the fire chief, in the short future, we're probably going to need to make another purchase, but I'm not certain that we do all three in the same year.
I think you need, I think the ladder is essential to this town because of the, some of the properties that we have, that getting access to the roofs, it's essential that we order it, because even if you order it right now, you will not have that truck until the end of 2020.
So you're,
I think I would like to make the motion we order it today,
Based on the approval of the budget.
based on the approval of the budget, correct?
I think when we had the retreat at Bell Works, there was some concern with the firemen over the current ladder
Correct.
truck.
Yes, there's a difference between a ladder truck and a fire engine. An engine carries water to the fire. A ladder truck gains access. That's your two separate vehicles,
If I
separate
remember
purposes.
correctly, the ladder truck is needed because some of the egresses to get to access to some of the buildings is difficult. And
Correct.
the ladder truck gives them that extension.
The ladder truck is essential in this town. There are several properties, especially Bayshore Hospital, you cannot rely on Hasler Company 1 to respond to this town all the time. That truck is even older than ours. That's a Mack, it's over almost 30 years old. Our ladder truck is essential to this town, in my opinion.
can I hit another question? If,
Shoot.
it's not in the budget, so how will we add another $1.5 million to this year's budget And a second question is, we put away $5 million for the firehouse.
5.5.
5.5, because we had 500 from last year. If for some reason it doesn't come in that cost, couldn't we look into that fund if we bond for it, Donna, to buy that truck?
Yeah, I can work with our bond attorney to craft the bond ordinance to include a fire building, piece of apparatus. What I would like to do, Committee Nicholas, is to have the fire chief perhaps offline or have a meeting to discuss what their needs are, rather than just arbitrarily tell them that we're going to buy them a ladder truck. Because my understanding in some of the conversations we had is no matter what ladder truck we purchase, it will never reach the top of Bell Works. That's just not possible. They don't make an apparatus like that. So while I agree with you, we do need to invest in a vehicle, which we're doing this year. There's another one that we want. I really think it's imperative that we get the input from the fire department as to what vehicle that they truly need.
Well, just for the record, they do make trucks that reach the top. However, we can't buy one because we need a truck that will fit under the Laurel Avenue Bridge. So we have to, there's limited vehicles that we can buy, yes. But there are trucks that do reach the top of Bell Works. We just unfortunately can't buy one. But I do think we do, has the fire chief requested a ladder truck?
No.
No, he has not. Okay.
No.
But Donna,
So-
can we try to add that into the bond?
So we have probably $5.8 million allocated for fire safety this year. I'm just making that number up. I don't recall where we were. So when we go to write the bond ordinance, we could write it in such a way that it's for fire safety. And I'll check with our bond attorney to make sure we can do it that way. So it can be a building, it can be a truck, it can be equipment, however we want to craft it.
So 5.8 plus the $500,000 from the prior.
No, I'm adding that $500,000. So we had the 5 from last year, the 500,000. We put in another $5 million this year for the building, which we don't know what's going to cost. We also had, I think, $800,000 in there initially from our retreat. So that's what I believe we have in there. So we have a lot of money available for fire that we can certainly craft to include what we need to do.
I think, Rocco, or Donna, that's a good idea. I think, look, we're going to have some numbers once we have a location. At the end of the day, unless I'm mistaken, once we get all this back, can't we call for, I don't want to use the word emergency, but once I have all that back, let's say this takes 90 days, September, October, if I was going to reallocate, or at that point, is there a way that I can call for the money to be utilized later in the year?
So once our budget's adopted, we'll do the bond ordinance. And that bond ordinance will allocate funds to build our roads and all our other improvements. That bond ordinance will specify police vehicles, fire vehicles. So at that time, we can specify how we want to divvy this money up. I'm hopeful by that time we'll have some estimates from our architect as the cost of the building. We can also firm up with our fire chief how much the trucks are going to cost. So right now, we're already getting quotes and utilizing co-ops and other mechanisms to get numbers for all of this equipment. Plus the architect we're meeting tomorrow and we'll hopefully get some, rough numbers from him within the next month.
Chief Farrell, could you come up?
Putting the guy on the spot, aren't we?
Yeah, you're the top guy.
He's the top guy. You heard the whole conversation.
Yes.
When we were at the retreat, there was a need.
My capital budget last year was 1.5 for a tower truck. We discussed it, we decided to go with a stock brand new pumper truck for this year, and then next year put in the budget for 1.5 million for a tower.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything, Greg, do you have anything?
Yep.
Committees? Thank you.
So DPW update, the guys and gals are really busy right now. The spring brush and leaf cleanup is well underway, going around the different sections right now. They started mowing at all the parks and the roadsides around town. This past Saturday, they had a very successful styrofoam recycling day right over here at the DPW center. They're finishing up all the streets in the 2018 road program, so they are priority. Anything that they couldn't get done last year, they're working on right now and they're finishing that up. Baseball and softball fields are up and running across the town. And if you noticed when you pulled in here, but there's new sidewalks have been installed in the community center and municipal complex. Probably saw the sign as well that the DPW was involved in. The bell tower roof has been repaired. They started clearing the beds at the municipal complex. I know I'm going to hear that the mulch volcanoes from first year up here, and they're well aware of that. Various drainage issues have been resolved around town, which has been challenging with all the rain we've had over the last umpteen months. And the Second Chance toy program has been gaining speed, so it's still in operation. And please continue to spread the word. It's a great program that Mayor Patella kicked off last year. That's it.
Thank you, Greg. Tommy?
Yeah, just a quick update on the trade with Monmouth County. We're 6 months into the original agreement. The county's coming back in tomorrow afternoon so that we can iron out a few of the wrinkles that we've encountered. And I do anticipate that trade being completed before the end of this year. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I just inject one thing again about the fire?
Inject away.
For the residents, please, if there's a fire, don't call the firehouse. They're not there all the time. 911. So tell all your friends.
today.
So he's in the back, he can test it. 911.
You know what, I'm actually gonna ask Chris to put that out. That's important. So I'll get that out and go throughout the town. Mike, Nicholas, you got anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that we hire outside counsel to conduct an independent investigation surrounding the resignation of our former CFO.
So you're referring to the confidential memo we received probably 2 weeks ago?
You have every right to make a motion, but let's be careful about what's talked about here or anything that's related to.
Well, we haven't had an executive session, so I just want to, I think I'm making a motion to hire outside counsel to conduct an independent investigation regarding the circumstances regarding the resignation of our former CFO.
All right, wow, but I got a question. Is this something we discuss in public?
I think that if we want to have any discussion on what the committeeman is proposing, we should enter into an executive session.
I'm going to make a motion, we go to executive session at the conclusion of tonight's meeting.
I second it.
Will you withdraw your motion, Mike, at this
No,
point?
it's at next meeting.
I have a motion
Tom,
on
is
the
it
floor.
next meeting? It's this meeting, right?
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
this, I thought you said next meeting.
Tonight?
No, tonight.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Roll call on the motion. Mr. Bontempo?
What is these?
It's a motion to go into executive at the end of the
At the
meeting.
end of the meeting.
That's fine. Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pescucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yeah, hold on. Yes. Anything else, Mike?
That's it.
So I have a couple things. Sent a letter as the mayor. I also sent one individually as a resident opposing the NESC pipeline. That's out there. We received confirmation. So I think it's 100% all municipalities have put in to oppose this, the pipeline. And I did speak to someone from the governor's office as well, so hopefully that gets this sort of support that Rage got and we can shut that down. On June 14th, the nonprofit organization Sustainable Jersey is coming to Bell Works for its annual summit. The summit brings together most green teams and municipal personnel dedicated to recycling and sustainability efforts around the state. The township has been asked to participate. I would strongly urge residents to download the Recycle Coach app. Please download the Recycle Coach app so that they'll never miss another recycling, garbage, or leaf collection, as well as gain access to other recycling tools and information. The Holmdel Connect app is working really, really well. We're getting constant little things that is communicating into the town. Our director of infrastructure gets little things every single day, and it's been a real wonderful tool to help communicate things to get fixed quicker. And that is it from me. I believe that's it from me. Public comment. Ralph.
Good evening again, Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. First, a quick question. With regard to the motion to go into closed session, will you be coming out into public and/or taking any further action on anything this evening?
No.
Okay. Then with regard to the fire discussion, it was good to hear the discussion and to hear you openly talk about these things. I think the public gets it, and I find it informative to understand some of the pros and cons of what's going on when you actually talk about these things. With regard to the added or tower fire truck, one thing in terms of funding it, my recollection in briefly looking at the capital budget is not, it's not so much a budget, but it's part of the budget is a 6-year capital plan. So you may wish to consider adding that tower truck into the subsequent year, not the current year. So to put what I'll call a placeholder down there for funding that. If there in fact are problems with the truck, it's old, get a new one. The implication from what Mike you said is that it would always be housed at Centerville, and hence the problem of getting it under the Laurel Avenue Bridge, which is another story. If in fact, I don't know what the best way to attempt to deal with a fire at the hotel on Bell Works would be, but I would think you would want a tall truck and need to house it on this side of town instead of just on the other side of town. Unfortunately, since there are some taller buildings on the north side of town, that may mean you need 2 of them. But I don't know what the answer is, but I think, just again, it was good to hear the back and forth discussion to try to begin to understand. These aren't simple issues that you're dealing with. And it's good to listen to people's different opinion and hopefully all come together and everything will work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
Barbara Singer, 5 Deerfield Road. Is Bell Works, as part of their construction, required to have their own water protection in case of a fire? Especially with a hotel going up, or no? No. Sprinkler systems, none of that?
They have a sprinkler system.
They have sprinkler system, but they don't need a fire truck, right? Yeah.
No, but internally for their own building,
It's a UCC requirement, yeah, they have sprinklers.
Okay, so.
They have a very actually comprehensive fire safety. They have a whole room that's just dedicated to the whole fire suppression of the building. It's pretty impressive, actually.
So then legally, is it like deemed that that's sufficient for their needs and the township doesn't have to provide them with fire protection?
Well, the township provides everyone with fire protection. We can pick and choose.
Okay, so there's nothing, okay, like that. My other question is there an update on the affordable housing plan?
Yeah, it was approved, I guess you missed our last meeting, it was approved on April 11th. So it's, we now have 160 days to do all some due diligence and get some ordinances passed and update the master plan.
And it was approved in the exact format as in the last exhibit the township?
Yes.
The residents were given. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Jay, 1811 Drive, following up on Barbara's question. The code was approved, but, and I may have lost track, there were interveners. Is that still ongoing, or they're done?
All done,
They're
yeah.
done, okay. These are small petty things compared to some of the topics brought up here, but I'm just going to throw them at you. The garbage ordinance on Saturdays, is it after 8 a.m.? Is that correct, Donna? Do you remember that? We did it, because there's been trucks coming 7:20.
Saturdays, 8
a.m. So if we see a truck coming,
Call the police.
Yeah, that's
Call the
starting.
police. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. The polo. He doesn't want to hear from me. The Polo Club.
Actually, that one, that's
Any update on
the
the
text? Not.
Any update on the?
It will definitely open before the year 2030.
I mean, are there video projectors in there of people working every day?
Every day, listen to me,
Actually,
I've never
for
seen
years-
more trucks with less work in my entire life. I have no explanation. It is beyond comprehension. If you can figure it out, as a matter of fact, I am going to throw if anyone in this town can figure out what's taking this guy so long, I'm buying the entire first night that it opens. It's on the mayor. The entire night I will pay if someone could tell me what this guy does. Because I've never seen more trucks and less work done in my entire life.
Video projectors. The deer situation, I guess nothing's been done on the deer situation. They go back into the woods in the summer, but I really would hope. Rocco, I thought maybe you were.
The county's still in charge. If you want, give me a rifle, I'll hunt them.
Jay, in all seriousness, and here's a question first. I see a lot of deer accidents. I certainly see Do you think this is the worst it's been in the last 5?
It's the absolute worst. Again, I work out of the house. I see this.
Yep.
We have, you guys made fun of me when I used the term flock. It's not a flock.
Right.
I see 20-something awful.
I think it's something that we're going to have to put on our conversation.
I'm serious.
I agree.
Yeah, for the
I totally agree. It's a safety concern. It's become a significant safety concern.
And I know our engineer is not here, but Lagwood Drive was paved 10, 12 years ago. It's a disaster. It's crumbling before our eyes. Many roads that have been paved, no. So, Donna, you may know this. Are we speccing the roads good enough when we pave them? Because I just can't fathom how our roads are in such bad shape. And tied to that, there is a growing discussion about this salt brine that's put down, and that may be accelerating the degradation of the roads. Is that something we're looking into? Those streaks, you know?
Yeah, so it's not salt brine, it's a different mixture of something, I don't want to say beets or something crazy like that. So there's two sides. Yes, it's good for the roads, and no, it's bad for the roads. So we've been using it here for a couple of years now. I wouldn't think that has degraded your road that way. But it does help us with our salt and our manpower, so it's helpful that way. Our roads have been behind the 8 ball. We're finally catching up. I think Gladwood might even be on the list this year, but don't mark my words. So we're doing the best that we can.
Okay, and I guess I'll use the Connect app because the entrance to Gladwood has a cannonball hole in it right now. So should I use the app for that?
Use the app, and I'll tell Victor as well.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is that where you live? You live on Lagwood?
Yeah.
We're putting extra salt there for you.
Of course. I have no doubt.
Another deer will come and lick it because they like the salt.
I'm going to go, let's go to the back and then Jenny.
Joe Crowley, 15 Ely Road. Regarding the damage to the roads, one of the things I observed a couple of years ago, it looked like we had subcontracted somebody come in and plow on Ely Road, and I noticed them coming in with a moderately sized plow and dropping the plow at the end of the street to start their plowing. And right there at the end of the street, there's just massive holes. So it maybe even talking to, if we do sub this stuff out still, maybe even talking to the people we sub it out to in terms of how to do this stuff, because I'd be shocked if that didn't have a major impact on that damaged that part of the road. And it was only a couple of years after it was paved. So
yeah, that's good.
For what that's worth. The other question is on the calls to the firehouse, when there are firehouse unattended. I know the preference is to call 911, but if nobody's at the firehouse, is there a way to forward the calls somewhere so that?
911, 911.
Okay.
It's really the best.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Jenny?
Jenny Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I bet you probably don't have an answer to this question because the issue has been going on for decades, is who is responsible for and making any kind of plans to fix that poor Laurel Avenue Bridge? I mean, somebody's going to hit it sometime, and it's going to collapse.
Yeah, so Jenny, we had a big thing last year. Unfortunately, we can't go any lower.
Well,
I can't tell you who's responsible or why, or why people continue to run into it. I can't tell you all the whys. I can just tell you the facts, and the facts are we can't go any lower because of all the underground work that's been done. New Jersey Transit, I guess the cost to actually lift it would be just monumental. So I guess they, their bean counters come back and said a couple accidents a year is cheaper than fixing it, perpetually. I can only assume that that's what they came back with. But at the end of the day, we're stuck with that that bridge the way it exists.
Because I know, gosh, 10, 15 years ago, Ed said they were gonna do something exciting like build a whole new bridge north or south of it, chop off the current one, slip it out one night, slip the other one in. It didn't sound too practical to me, but, that was 15 years ago, and here we're still having these people who seem to be illiterate crashing into the bridge. When you've got these lovely signs that my short little car sees, and we don't hit the bridge. Well, there's still obviously somebody should do something with it. Some poor truck driver's going to get killed, and maybe that'll make something happen.
Hey, Scott?
Scott Goldstein, 24 East Lawn Drive. This is a question about items that go onto the consent agenda, and I'd like to know what are the statutes or regulations that dictate what goes on the consent and what should not go on the consent.
Thanks, Scott, for the question. I know you mentioned it to me at the beginning of the meeting. The practices of the committee are fully consistent with the law. There is no specific legal requirement in how resolutions are adopted, unlike ordinances, which do have statutory requirements, including notice and a public hearing and adoption after advertisement. But a resolution could be adopted in any manner, including the manner that they've been adopted to date. So everything has been done legally correct.
So, thank you, Mike, for that. I thought in years past that I remember reading the consent agenda and said items that were less than, ordinary business items less than $3,500. When we have major items that town knows nothing about, I would appreciate, and the committee would appreciate if those items were kept separate so that we can at least ask some fundamental questions about what's going on. Just out of courtesy to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Nobody else from the public? Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Motion to go into...
Yeah, if I could actually just, for the record, as we make this motion, I'll recommend to the committee a motion to enter into executive session to discuss aspects of a personnel matter that touch upon anticipated litigation and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B7, and I'll note for the record that the conversation will not involve any conversations regarding specific individuals' employment as permitted under NJSA 10:4-12B8. So I'd recommend a motion on that.
Motion. Roll call.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Vitelli?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Dr. Pascucci?
Yes.
Mayor Hines?
Yes.
You guys want to do it down here, or do you want to go?
Please do it down here. All right, stay here.